Hey everyone, welcome to another Break Room Arcade discussion. Today's topic is Nintendo Switch. Previously known as Nintendo NX, just revealed this morning. Today I'm joined by Logan Welliver.
Hello.
Jacob Robertson.
Hello.
And Josiah Gooden.
Hello.
So, right away, I'm just going to throw the table open. I'm going to start with you, Jacob. Just, what did you think of Nintendo Switch?
Me? Why are we starting with me?
Just go for it, man.
Oh, my initial reaction was like, okay, this is what I expected. So, I mean, it looks really good. I'm actually really excited about the games. The biggest thing for me was the Skyrim. That was really cool because it showed me that they can actually have some different games, which is really cool, exciting game.
It should be noted that Bethesda has come out and said that they have not officially confirmed that Skyrim will be coming to the console.
Okay, see. I think third party would be huge. I'm also a lot of questions, but yeah, that's my initial reaction.
All right, we'll move on to Logan.
Yeah, I didn't know how much we were actually going to figure out. I think I underhyped it. I think I kept my reservations about what was being shown today. I was expecting the console. I did not anticipate seeing essentially what I believe to be a confirmation of some games that were coming to the console. Obviously, they started off with Breath of the Wild because that's the one that we know that they have confirmed. And then they showed off the Mario game. They showed off a little bit of Mario Kart. And given the differences between that Mario Kart they showed in Mario Kart 8, it's either a very, very enhanced port or it's a sequel, you know. So it looks very similar to Mario Kart 8. So I was wondering, like, if it could be just a Mario Kart 8. They're like, okay, let's fix all the problems, just call it Mario Kart 8 again. But maybe they might just rebrand it as Mario Kart 9, which would be pretty cool. But my biggest concern going in was like functionality and form factor. And I wasn't too sure how I was going to feel about it. I kind of had this expectation that it was going to be what it actually is. And I was, okay, how is that going to work out? But I think I was pleasantly surprised. I've seen some comments saying that some people say like the Joy-Con controllers with the kind of accessory that it comes with looks kind of gaudy, which it kind of is, but at the same time, functionality versus design, I think they kind of struck a good balance between like what that should mean. I was already a day one buy before they showed this off because that's how excited I was beforehand. I am definitively a day one buy now.
Okay, so you were obviously impressed. We'll go on then to Josiah.
Pretty positive impression. It answers almost all the questions we had and brings up a few new ones.
All right. Very, very pleasantly stated. Nice and quick. For myself, I kind of, like Logan, I kind of underwhelmed myself going into this trailer. They called it a preview trailer, so I was expecting like 2 minutes and 50 seconds of teasing and then 10 seconds of console, and that would be it. Instead, they actually did a whole lot more. They very, very effectively showed off the concept behind the console, what it does, what it's got coming to it, and how you can use it practically and also impractically, given the basketball sequence. We'll talk about that a little later. But overall, I'm pretty excited. I like what I saw. And with that, I want to move on to some more specific topics. So we're going to talk about first just the design concept between the dock station and the I almost called it the NX, the Nintendo Switch, the controller itself. I was really impressed, and I don't know if this is going to be the way it works, but I was really impressed with how quick and easy it is to switch between off-TV play and TV play. I want to get Josiah's opinion on this to start.
We don't know anything. We don't know anything about that. I'm hoping it's as seamless as like plugging in an HDMI cord, it automatically detects it, and then you're playing on your screen. I would hope it's that good, but we just don't know yet.
Okay, fair enough. You would think that the way that they showed it off in the video would be the way that it works. You would hope, given we're so close to launch. We'll move on to Jacob.
Well, my opinion for the smoothness of the Switch, that looks pretty nice. I hope that's really good. For the console on the TV, all the little holder thing to me looks like a charger and basically just like you said, an HDMI plug-in. It looks like I'm just like porting the image from the handheld to the TV.
I believe they did confirm that the docking station is just a display output and just a charger.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, which is cool, but it also makes me kind of nervous for, I don't know, the strength of the console, but we might go talk into that later on.
Yeah, I think you raise a good point. A lot of us were expecting there to be additional hardware inside of the docking station, and I think there's still evidence of that when you look at the trailer, because the Breath of the Wild sequence, the part on the TV was really smooth, and then the part on the handheld, when he's playing it out on that bench in the park, there was some definite stuttering going on. It was fairly consistent, so that has me wondering whether there is additional hardware in the docking station, but according to the press release, it sounds like that is not the case.
Yeah. And I know that the hardware inside the tablet by NVIDIA, I've heard that it's basically the same kind of thing they use in like tablets. It obviously has some custom stuff, so hopefully that'll be good, but I don't know how powerful this can really be, which makes me nervous.
This is a custom Tegra chip.
Yeah.
Joe, you might know more about that than I do.
Yes. Basically, all I can say is it's going to be more powerful than the Wii U, but it is likely going to be less powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One.
I think going in, that's pretty much what we expected. Given the nature of the console also being a handheld, I think that's a reasonable compromise. I'm not seeing a lot of complaints about graphical fidelity from people, not as much as I would have expected. So, Logan, let's get your take on this.
Well, I mean, in terms of like the transition between the TV and the actual like console itself, again, like I can only hope that the transition is as smooth as it was presented in the trailer. Like, how cool would that be if you just literally just popped on the Joy-Cons onto the side of the Switch and then just pulled it out, and then that was it, and then vice versa. In terms of honestly, I would be very... I don't think we can really speak so much to graphical fidelity, just because I imagine a lot of those screen images would be simulated. Would I be incorrect in assuming that?
I can almost guarantee all of those are simulated.
They're not organic. No.
Right, exactly. So, and also considering that Bethesda says that, Skyrim Remastered is not officially going to come. I mean, they haven't officially confirmed that it will be on I almost called it the NX, man, the Nintendo Switch. So, I mean, probably no doubt that it could run it on some level and maybe even look pretty good. But I don't have a lot of concerns with graphical fidelity, in the sense of I know that at least the games from Nintendo are going to run well and they're going to look great.
I think we can pin it down to this. I can ask you a simple question that'll tell us how you really feel.
Okay.
Were you satisfied with the graphical fidelity, I guess, or the visuals that we got on Wii U?
Yes.
I think that answers the question then.
Right. But yeah. I mean, obviously for me, I'm not really into gaming for the graphical fidelity. If I can achieve more fidelity, that's cool, but that's really secondary in my experience.
Okay. Fair enough. I think that's something that, most of us here would agree on. Kind of moving forward, I want to talk to you guys about the way you play. So this idea is that you take this console out of its docking station and it becomes a handheld. But I want to focus more or less on the controllers. So the Joy-Con left and the Joy-Con right are the two detachable controllers that attach directly to the tablet portion of the Nintendo Switch. And they also act independently as Player 1 and Player 2 controllers, as well as a single controller. Joe, what do you think about that?
It's super cool. It's super cool. I mean, look at this thing. The main issue I have is I'm going to lose these really, really easily.
I think I saw a tweet by your brother Aaron with the same concern.
It's anyone with children are going to have an issue, but again, anyone with children are going to have the same issue with any other controller. Like Wiimotes, we lost Wiimotes for years. It's going to be the same deal.
That's probably why there's no children in the trailer at all.
Oh yeah.
Only extremely wealthy millennials.
What's weird to me is they have like a Switch Pro controller, let's call it that, but they also have this weird metal thing that you can attach both halves of the what are they called? The Joy Switches?
Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons. That's nice. I like that word. You detach the Joy-Cons to, it looks really uncomfortable to me. But then again, the Wii U gamepad looked really uncomfortable to me, and they proved me wrong.
I have no questions about this myself. Wii U was the first time that I actually looked at a Nintendo controller and thought to myself, that looks uncomfortable. But Nintendo has proven to me that ergonomics on their controllers is something they know how to do. So I'm not going to question whether or not I think that's comfortable. I mean, it's called the Joy-Con Grip, and it has like handheld grips on it like you would hold a normal controller. So I think it'll be more comfortable than it looks.
Good.
So, all right, I'll just jump in with my opinions on these controller things. I don't really like the design of the controller. I mean, I love the idea. No, don't get me wrong. I think it'd be sweet to be able to play, but I hate the tiny little controller. I got big gorilla hands.
Yeah, you do.
And it's going to be super hard to hold a tiny little controller.
Well, that's why they give you the Pro controller as an option.
That's true, but if I'm not playing with my friends and I want to play two-player, which is awesome, don't get me wrong, so I'm excited for that, but I'm also like, man, this is a crappy little tiny controller for me to
But if you also think about it, like right out of the box, you have two controllers. So you could either
that's
have...
a plus. I didn't think about that.
You could have a traditional controller, which if you got a PS4, Xbox One, you would only have one controller. You would have to buy another controller to play two-player. This way, you at least have two controllers right off the bat for like Mario Kart and stuff. So if you're playing local multiplayer, I mean, it's already there. Now, if you want to spend the extra money, you can get a full new controller. So some people would think it's like, oh, those look super uncomfortable. Well, then just get a new controller. You would have to do that anyway for any other console.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't have a problem with it at home. Like, playing on that little handheld, it looks awful, but I think it will play fine. It's just like a normal controller. So, I don't have a problem with that. It's on the, like, breaking out to the tiny little controllers that's going to suck.
No,
but
and that's what I'm
it's gonna be
saying.
fun.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So
Once you
at
get to the
home,
tiny
it's gonna be
controllers.
awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, just a little quick note, the little buttons on the left side that are underneath my stick, I better never have to use those in a game, because I will be angry.
Those are your D-pad.
I hate those. So good.
That's a
If it was a
D-pad.
D-pad, because I'll never actually have to use it. But if it was actually real buttons, so I have to use both hands to press buttons, I would suck.
It's designed that way so that when you have a player 2, they have the exact same layout as you do.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't know. I totally get that. I didn't really look that deep into it. I just saw that and was like, I better never have to use those buttons.
Yeah, if you look at the Wii U Pro, or the Wii U Pro, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, instead of having face buttons on the left side, they go back to a regular plus D-pad.
Nice.
And keep in mind, every single one of these little NX units is going to support at least 4 of these controllers.
4 of the...
Either
Pro?
4 of the Joy-Cons, I guess 8 of the Joy-Cons.
So can you buy another Joy-Con without
I'm
the system?
Pretty sure you would have to be able to.
Why?
Because you only need the 2 that connect to the system, right?
Right. But, I mean, people are going to need replacements, and I foresee that being a problem.
Well, we thought that people were going to need replacement game pads, and we saw how that went.
Didn't they sell them for $80 online?
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Well, I think the fact that it's a gamepad has a lot to do with that. I don't think the Joy-Con controllers are going to cost nearly that much. And we don't know quite how they connect to the unit, but it sounds like they connect via RF, which is super cheap technology. Yep.
RFID.
That's super cheap technology, so I don't think these will be very expensive.
Because I was wondering if, like, there was a connector there, like pins that they had to connect with.
It connects quite the same way that the Circle Pad Pro connects to a 3DS.
That's really nice because any other way you would have degradation over time.
Yep.
That's smart. Good on you, Nintendo.
What other ways would they have done it?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth or
delay.
Actual like pin connectors like you would see on a cartridge.
Right.
I guarantee you're going to get probably between 60 and 80 hours of battery life on both of those units. I think the Circle Pad Pro had, 80 hours of battery life?
Yeah, those things are going to have battery life for days.
And the other thing I'm going to point out is the fact that you put them back on the Nintendo Switch, and then you dock it, and then it charges the whole unit. I'm almost certain that's the way it works.
Does it charge those as well?
Yeah, I think it charges everything at once.
Wait, would it do it wirelessly then?
The Nintendo Switch is a charge station.
Right, I'm talking about like for the actual controller though.
No, you'd
like
have to connect it to the
No,
Switch.
I think there'll be some other way to connect it to the dock. So there might be some kind of pin connection that goes to the Switch, but from what I understand, the controllers connect to the Switch via RF.
Okay.
Interesting.
But I think it'll be an all-in-one solution. I would hope so.
Right, you don't want to make it inconvenient.
No. Okay, kind of moving away from that a little bit, I want to talk about the screen controller itself. Curiously, one of the things they didn't touch on at all,
I get it.
segue?
I get it.
They didn't show any touchscreen usage.
Yeah.
Does it have a touchscreen?
I don't think so.
The general consensus is that there's a capacitive touchscreen in there.
It looks just like a capacitive touchscreen, and I'll be really disappointed if it isn't one.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with not having touchscreen, but you don't need it to play the games when you're at home, right? You dock it, so you don't need to play touchscreen. And there's no touchscreen in your controller, so why would I need touchscreen when I leave my house?
Well, then how are you going to jump to your other players in Splatoon?
I've never played Splatoon, so I have no idea.
Use a button like every other game. You just use a button.
Just use a button.
Okay.
Like, I just don't
but
see.
here's the other thing, and this doesn't come into the functionality of like all the games, the proposed games, but there's a part of it where sure, if you have a capacitive touchscreen, it would raise the cost, but if you do have the capacitive, like if you do have it, there's the pro of like think about all of the games that you could have on the NX.
We haven't thought about how you play the Switch without the controllers on it. There has to be some way to interface with it without the Joy-Cons.
Right.
Why does there have to be?
I think there would have to be.
Why would there have to be?
If you don't have your Joy-Cons, like you raise the issue that you could lose them. I think you'll be able to use the Switch
take it
as
off your
a tablet.
Nintendo Switch unless it has the Joy-Cons.
Right, but I think you'll be able to use the Switch as a tablet.
I don't see that. I don't think that's necessary. I don't know why they have to do that. I don't even need the touchscreen.
I don't mean as a gaming device.
Nintendo's the only system that's used touchscreen, so why would I need a touchscreen?
I don't mean as a gaming device. I mean to use it as a tablet like you would any other tablet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I feel like, Nintendo has specifically said that they're not competing against Sony and Microsoft in this console race. So they always are trying to go for this mass market appeal. They want the casual gamers and they want the core gamers. And so one of the best ways to do that is to give them a capacitive touchscreen. So Nintendo can also play their own Super Mario Run when it comes out.
I say it sounds like a good idea. They didn't show that at all in the trailer. And if it was that big a deal, I think they would have showed that off a little bit. I don't know.
Because they're trying to win back the credibility of the core gaming crowd.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They're trying to separate this from their previous devices, which have a stigma attached to them already. So I feel like if they'd shown the touchscreen as a main feature, then people would have just immediately thought Wii U gamepad.
Maybe.
It would be really weird to not show the touchscreen on it. I understand where you're coming from, but as a core feature of a device, it would be just a really weird thing to do. Although this is just a 3-minute trailer, maybe we'll see in a few weeks.
And
hey, it does have a touchscreen. We just didn't want to show it to you.
they wanted to focus on the things that the console does that is unique to the console. So I think it would have been a waste of time to show touchscreen in the 3-minute preview trailer. They're probably just going to say that in the investor meeting next week.
I mean, we'll see. I agree with Josiah. I don't know why they wouldn't show that off, and I don't
There's
know. We'll
probably
just see.
so much to the console in the first place that, Nintendo maybe just assumes that everybody will assume that it's going to be a touchscreen. Because
They also assumed that we thought Wii U was a game console.
Yeah.
If you look back at that trailer, they only ever call it the new controller.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely fixed that this time.
Well, technically, it wasn't. The pad isn't the controller. It isn't the game console. It just is a controller.
The Switch?
But the Wii U pad is really
Right, but they never
it is-
specified that the Wii U was actually a console.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. But we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe there isn't. Maybe this is a big adventure. It's not like this is something that's been done before. So maybe they just didn't have the space or availability to put in the touchscreen.
I think
I don't think
this-
that would have been a problem.
I think this is all done based on the way they wanted to market it.
I mean, they're converting a whole new system. This is something that's never been done before.
I definitely think this is how they intended to market it. And I actually want to move the discussion in that direction. This was a 3-minute and 47-second video.
37.
37? Okay. I was close. They were showcasing the Nintendo Switch, what it does that's unique, but everything was concise and to the point. No kids in the trailer. They were definitely like catering to the hardcore audience. Personally, I think they nailed the way that they marketed this, and especially the branding. Logan, I'm going to give this one to you to start.
Oh, where do I start, though? Like, there was so many things in the trailer that were actually like, okay, my first watch through, I'm just focusing on the Switch, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay, so we're playing Zelda. That's pretty neat. We've seen Zelda. We knew Zelda was coming. Pretty, unassuming. Just, hey, we're playing. Here's the controller. That's pretty cool. Oh no, he's pulling the things off of the controller and just slips it right onto the actual tablet. I just want to call it. It's a tablet.
It's a tablet.
That's what it is. And they put it on there, and they're like, wow, I'm on the go. Here we go. I'm leaving my dog in my apartment, and I'm just going to go somewhere else. And
His
I was
dog went
like,
with
that's
him.
pretty cool. And then I like how they divided it. Every time there was like a new scene with like a new character, per se, there was the Nintendo Switch logo, and there was that Switch sound, that click, So it's like, oh, it's here, guys. Oh, it's here. And they did it like, 4 or 5 times throughout the entire thing. And then it moved on to like how you can move around. So there was a guy who grabbed his and he went to the airport and got back home and put it back on his TV. And everybody just seems like they're having super fun. But there were some of those moments that as I watched through it, I was like, okay, when is this going to happen? There was, I went through all these comments on Reddit, and some people were like, man, I wish I had like a rooftop party every weekend. Or, man, look at all these people going to play basketball. And other people was like, man, I wish I had friends. So, but everybody also was like a super well-off millennial. It was kind of like you could tell they were catering to a certain age group. They were like, okay, it doesn't matter who you are, as long as they're looking at these people are going to look cool. And these people are older, so they're obviously intelligent, so giving it kind of more credibility. Whereas other times, like, you got some 3DS advertisements, and they were like, oh, here's some celebrity, and they're going to talk about how much they love the 3DS. And I'm like, yeah, that's super convincing. I don't know who the heck you're marketing this to. But this is the kind of people you use in an advertisement when you want to literally market to everybody. And also the balance between guys and girls. Like, it's like literally, guys, it doesn't matter who you are. You should play the Nintendo Switch. Man, I keep wanting to call it the NX. This is gonna like plague me for like weeks to come. But yeah, Nintendo is marketing to the mass market. This is like the Wii all over again. To the Wii, they literally, hey, everybody's gonna play this. Everyone's gonna play this, and Nintendo is trying to do the same thing again. We have yet to see if it will resonate in the same way that the Wii did, or if it does resonate in the same way the Wii did, will it hold up like the Wii didn't? Because, you know, later on in the Wii's life, third-party support kind of dropped out, and we also didn't have very long legs. It was there for a few years, and then people just stopped caring about it. So we'll see. I'll buy day one, given that I have the funds, which we still don't know how much this thing costs, which will also determine how successful it can be. Yeah, I just have so many questions, and we still have 5 months until the launch. It launches in March, so we have a wild, bumpy ride ahead of us.
There's two things about this trailer that I kind of wanted to point out. One was how strong the branding was. Just the little graphic, the name, the sound effect, the whole classic Nintendo Red, all very strong, easy to understand. The trailer itself, you immediately know that it's a console. You immediately know what it does and how it works. That's something they completely bombed with the Wii U. So I think they've definitely learned on that front. The last thing I want to mention, though, in terms of the marketing, is the end sequence where they put all of the focus on esports.
Kinda.
Yes.
Well, I think it's a little more than kinda. Nintendo is embracing esports, and so they use I was going to say NX again. They use the Nintendo Switch as kind of a pillar for that. They're like, this will be a device that you'll play esports on. This will also be a device that you play multiplayer on locally. And this is how we can apply that to that scene. And they're also catering to that audience. I thought that was a strong moment in the trailer, and I think it speaks volumes for what they're trying to do in the future.
Also, they use a myriad of types of games. So obviously, they had Skyrim and they had Zelda. And it's like, guys, look, adventure. We got some third party in there, a highly acclaimed third party game. So we know kind of like we're trying to get serious about getting that support to win back in those gamers. We have Mario Kart in there, big multiplayer game. Oh, look, here's a new Mario. Oh my gosh, I love new Mario. And then they had their one esports game, which they chose to be Splatoon, which is probably their biggest foray into esports, even though they haven't really put a lot of emphasis into it. I feel like this is them kind of cementing. They're like, okay, we realize this is a thing. It's time that we start investing in it like we think, everybody else thinks it should be. If Splatoon wasn't shown, it probably would have been Smash Bros, because there's no way Smash Bros is not coming to this console.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they didn't show it because Sakurai is going to have his own trailer for that. I think there's a little more to talk about Smash.
Yeah.
Is there?
I think so.
With the branding, I tell you what Logan just said. At the end, I wasn't really that interested, but that to me felt like, hey, we are doing this because every other console's embraced that, and esports is a huge thing now. So Nintendo's like, oh, we should probably say we're doing this. That's what it felt
they're
like
having
to me.
Splatoon tournaments in Europe, and I think there's one coming up that if you win, you actually win a Nintendo Switch, and that was announced before the actual console was.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
With me and the branding of this video, like the Nintendo part was the Switch and the graphics. That was really good. The biggest thing for me was like the games they showed off, because they huddled, like, what's the word? They just couldn't put in a bunch of games. Like they started off with a game you knew was coming, and then they put in like the third party. They showed off the sports games, which Nintendo, for me, because I play a lot of sports games, has been terrible with sports games. They're awful. And this one actually looks like a real sports game, so that's good. And then with the Skyrim, that shows a third party, and that's a big game that a lot of gamers would play. So I feel like they're trying to pull in some core gamers. I don't know how successful they're going to be because Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation kind of has a good hold on them. But we'll see with that. And then they showed off a lot of their, the Mario and all the Mario Kart, a lot of really good games. So that was the biggest thing that hit me in this trailer.
All right. Your comment about third parties, I want to expand on a little bit. They gave us a big laundry list of third-party companies, but I want to remind everyone that this happens every console generation and to not hold your breath.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. Yep. I doubt that we'll ever see a game from half of these companies.
You can guarantee you'll see one from Ubisoft at launch at least. That's kind of about it.
It'll be Just Dance, and then there will be an Assassin's Creed.
There'll be a Call of Duty. We'll get at least one Call of Duty because the Wii U even got Call of Duty.
Yeah, remember it was the console that you would play Call of Duty on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see a bigger market for that now with this kind of get up and go attitude with the console. If they embrace that local multiplayer aspect, I could see this being a lot more successful in that regard. Just the idea of getting together with a couple friends, bringing out Splatoon, and then being able to play Splatoon together.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
A thing that we could never do.
No, I think that might actually have the most potential out of the entire design concept.
Yeah, I would agree. Because I love local multiplayer. I mean, there's been times I've been over at your house, Brandon. I was like, man, I really want to play Splatoon, but I wish we could actually go online together. But no, you'd need another console or something like that. But in this case, if everybody's got their own X, oh my gosh, Nintendo Switch, I could literally just throw it in my bag. I don't know. I'm hoping that there's like a sleeve, like an official sleeve that I can buy and just throw my NX in with a few other pouches for my other accessories, and that would be super cool. But the fact that we could all just meet up literally anywhere and just play, that's super cool. It's what we all wanted to do with the Wii U. It's like, oh man, here we got the gamepad. So can I just bring this with me? Oh no, I'm 10 feet away from the console. It doesn't work anymore. I wanted to go sit on the toilet, and it's like, oh man, I can't sit on the toilet and play my Wii U because there's 2 walls in between me and the console. That doesn't work. But with this is the console.
This is the toilet console, is what you're saying right now. Most players I ever got together for a round of Splatoon is 4 players in the same room, and it's just a mess of monitors and televisions and wires going everywhere to different outlets because you can't have too many plugged into one outlet, and it's this huge mess. But what if it was just a handheld thing that everyone had? Oh, hey, you want to play Monster Hunter and have some people who really like to use the giant screen because they're wimps and can't look at a tiny screen for an extended period of time.
Yes. But these screens are also bigger than the 3DS screen.
Do we know how big that screen is? It looks like 4 or 5 inches.
I think it's 6.2 inches.
Yeah, I think it's 6.2.
Oh, wow. And that's pretty good.
It also, I'm pretty sure, is HD.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't. I'm expecting some 720p for the actual the tablet.
And that's perfectly fine.
The specs say it can run 4K.
Yeah,
but it won't.
Well, that's
not
a
the
rumor.
Not the handheld.
Okay,
I would
rumor,
assume the TV.
Well, no. If the placement thing is just an HDMI thing, the handheld would have to do that. Everything's in the handheld. That's why everyone's worried about the specs, because it's all pushed into this little handheld.
Well, if the tiny handheld could push out 4K at 30 FPS, I don't think we're going to have any problems.
Yeah, 4K at 30 FPS, but everything else looks like shit.
The PS4 Pro cannot push out 4K at 60 or 30. It's 4K is impossible for consoles right now.
Yeah. And then I'm just saying this with your guys, the whole LAN thing. I never play LAN with people.
I conversely almost never play online.
See, I guess because I've always been an Xbox guy, and they kind of have gone away. I don't ever meet up with buddies. You guys, they can go anywhere. I just want to stay home. and play online.
Is that why you're always at birthday parties and never come to our
Hey,
game
man,
nights?
birthday parties suck. See, where this is gonna help me is I can go to those birthday parties and actually can play games and not be bored out of my mind. So
you can bring your games to your birthday
So that's a
parties
good one.
and then play online with us.
Yeah, like a
if
handheld
there's internet.
device.
If there's not internet, then it's useless for me. So,
But then you could play your Switch with other people at the party who have Switch.
which will never happen.
Or they can play
But-
with you because you can do local on the one unit.
But this brings up
See
a really
there,
big
that one's a
point
good one.
here.
Go for it.
How long does this battery last?
Oh
a huge
boy.
point. Yeah,
Oh
that's the big
boy!
one.
Here's the big
We
question.
would have gotten around to it.
What if those detachable controllers each have batteries in them that power the unit too?
Maybe.
Either way,
Never know.
no matter what happens, eventually the battery is going to slow down. Like, no matter how good your battery is on your laptop, eventually it sucks. So,
Well, if you notice, there's a cooling fan in that thing, so that battery is going to be zapped.
So, like,
Ah.
for real, how long could this battery even last?
hey, they had a guy
I
on the
would-
plane, so
I would hope that we could at least get to 5 hours.
Like, having to render everything, and then, oh my god, I don't know how they're going to make this thing last more than 4 hours.
Isn't that what a
Yeah.
tablet already does, though?
Yeah, but a tablet's not trying to run a Wii U game, it's trying to run some garbage thing.
True. Yeah, this is definitely one of the bigger issues that'll remain to be seen, but given the fact that this is the entire concept of the console,
They will get ahead of this and talk about it if they are
Yeah.
smart.
Right.
They
So
should.
what is the minimum play time? Say like on like low brightness settings and it's a pretty intensive game. How long would you want to be able to play that game without having to plug it back into the dock?
6
minimum
hours.
settings, minimum, I want 7, personally. On max settings, we better be getting 5 at least.
Okay.
how often do you actually play a game that far away for that long, though?
I can see myself playing my Nintendo Switch in a lot of places.
I-
I mean, unlike
Yeah,
you, we
but-
go around together and play games a lot.
But if you go to
and-
someone's house who has the system, they'll have a charger.
Right, but you
So-
notice that it charges in the dock. We don't even know if this has a cord.
Well, no, but then whoever needs the charge can just take over the big TV.
Yeah, but that would mean that only one person can do that at a time, and that's where your problem comes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
unless you bring your dock with you.
This thing has to be able to charge with a cord.
Yeah,
It
I
has
think
to
in
be
addition to the dock, it has to be able to charge with the cord.
Like, the only time I'm gonna need that is I'll go on road trips, and that's the time I'll actually really want it to last forever. But if I don't go on road trips, I won't need it like to last me 18 hours or anything.
I mean, the 3DS had a pretty bad battery life, but it was never that big of a problem.
Did it?
Yeah, at least you got 6 to 8 hours when you were playing games.
Actually, 3DS battery life was a lot worse than that, I remember.
Really, I get...
Well, the original 3DS, yes, but then they improved upon it over time.
New 3DS XL is the one that actually hits that 7-hour mark.
Okay, maybe I just
Yeah, mine
don't
dies quick as
remember how it was to have an old 3DS, because I swear I
3
played
hours.
7 hours of Monster Hunter on that thing before it's like, hey, maybe you should plug it in.
The original 3DS, I believe, was 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah, mine that I have right now does not last that long, and it was original.
So
There's that.
we would hope
So
that this is
silly.
something that they address. Kind of going back to the controller a little bit, there's something I want to mention to you guys that I forgot to mention earlier, and that's the little square button on the left side of the controller.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, what to do?
We have a plus and a minus button, we have a home button, and we have a square button.
Is it a
The
share
square
button?
is your share button. That's what I was going to say.
Have they confirmed that?
They haven't denied
That was
it.
one of the rumors, and they have not denied it. Yeah.
I'm going
one
to
of
go
the rumors
ahead.
from way back.
It's so plain. It's like a square with a little circle inside of it.
Like, every single freaking console has a share button at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the share button.
I wish it was an overlay button so that you could, chat with your friends and stuff.
Yeah, there better be a freaking chat with this.
Personally, I honestly couldn't care less for a share button.
Yeah, I'll never use a share button.
Usually start and select are used in the game itself.
Let's get ahead of that real quick. What you just said, there is no longer any start or any select.
No, they're on the system. I can see them from where I'm
It
looking.
says plus and minus. I don't see start and select labeled.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but
he's
they were-
being crafty.
Right. But on the Wii U, it says start and select before it. So I mean, functionally, it doesn't even matter what they're called. They're a start and select button.
But now we have
know
There
what
are
they
two
do.
buttons that could be mapped to whatever you need.
This is the true death of start and select. This is it.
It's never coming back.
It's never coming back.
Because it's just not necessary anymore. I mean, you have other buttons to replace that.
It's just a name.
It's just the name of a button, but it means more than just a name of a button.
Jacob's
Right.
like, why are you guys getting so upset?
Why was so worried?
It's a symbol. It's always been there, and now it's not.
Oh, well.
We're gonna
It
miss
hasn't been on the
change,
Xbox
guys.
for like. It has been.
It's
on the
been there
Xbox for,
since NES, man.
Xbox One, 2 years. Yeah.
All right, enough about that. That's going to be a soapbox we never get up.
It's going nowhere.
One of the last things about the actual device itself I want to talk about before we get on to the games is the fact that it is cartridge based. Hooray! We did it, guys.
Cool.
I'm down.
I don't understand. What's the point of why is cartridge better than CD?
All right, Joe, I'll just let you go ahead.
Because it's better. So basically, you know how you have a hard drive and it takes a while to read a disk that's in the hard drive, but then there's these things called solid states which can read almost instantaneously. This is the exact same. We're going from a optic drive to just something that immediately reads the data, and that's better, and also these are cheaper to produce than CDs are at this point.
And we're probably looking at
isn't it
like
basically
32
like an
gigabyte carts.
It
Is
is
it like an SD card?
It is an SD card, essentially.
No,
Yeah.
this is a weird question because I know when I do video stuff, I don't leave stuff on my SD card because it could disappear. Is that an issue?
Not really.
Okay.
Nope. I've never had any issues with any of my 3DS carts, and that's exactly what these look like.
Yep,
All
those
right,
are those are basically SD cards.
Yeah, and if you drop it, it doesn't get scratched.
That to me, I mean, that's cool. I didn't really know the difference. I was just like, sure, cartridge.
But I
You're
have
going
to
to get
wonder.
faster load times. You're not going to have to install your games on your system.
I have
Yeah,
to
you're
wonder.
going to have more room on your system.
Is there a
Well-
hard drive in this thing? Do we have
Yeah, 'cause
space?
There is.
That was the difference with like their.
I think it's going to be
3DSs.
flash memory.
It was all in the game.
Yeah, like the cartridges will have the data on the cartridges. You don't have to worry about that. But the system should still ideally have some kind of storage space on it for digital games.
Because I'm a huge digital guy. I download everything. You know
Half
this.
of my 3DS library is digital myself. I imagine this will just be like new 3DS XL. It's going to have either a mini SD card slot or an SD card slot for additional storage space.
Hopefully.
Those get up to 128 to like 1 terabyte now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
they-
think we're
they've
going to have
gotten
that as a
big.
problem anymore.
Also, they're pretty inexpensive as like even for like reliable ones, like semi, like not the best ones you're gonna get, but you're not gonna have to pay up the butt for more storage.
Yeah, they're no longer
Right.
new technology, so we don't have to pay a whole lot for them anymore. Like we did like 5 years ago even, these were expensive. But now you can
Yeah.
get like a 32 gigabyte one for like $5. It's real cheap.
You can think of
Super
it this way. Nintendo was the last one to get to discs when discs was a better format, and now they're the first ones to get back to cartridges when cartridges is the better format. So take this as a good sign.
Maybe.
Yeah, if anything, there's just gonna be some stigma attached to like, oh man, it's a home console and you're gonna use cartridges. But
Then
at
we'll
the
just
same
enjoy it
time-
if it's better.
Right, but at the same time, that's going to be something that they're going to have to tackle. Even though, like, it does help that it's got that mobile form factor, So this whole idea wouldn't have even been possible with discs.
Well, just the only way they have to prove it is the fact that it's running Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
Right.
Breath of the Wild is on a cartridge. Boom, you sold the entire idea to me.
Yay.
What if the
I wonder
game
what the
sucks?
load times are going to be on the Wii U compared to the Switch.
Probably not as good. I would imagine. I would hope that the
mean-
cartridge format would be better. Yeah.
You all remember the Wii U's launch and how long
Oh, yeah,
that
it
took
was-
to
it was
load
bad.
anything?
And that super huge update we got like a year later
Yeah.
that fixed it. And even then, it was
sad.
still pretty bad.
Yeah, it's still not the best today even. But
Yeah.
maybe they learned from that? Maybe
I would
they
hope
didn't.
so. The fact that Nvidia is working on this and it's custom built by them themselves, I would hope that this is a good piece of hardware.
That's also
I would imagine it's adequate, at the very least.
It's also a big thing that NVIDIA is doing their graphics card, because they've been using AMD for years now, since the
All
GameCube.
three systems have been, haven't they?
Since the GameCube.
Yeah. This is a big step. Like, this is fairly significant.
And when the PS4 and the Xbox One are using AMD, this is a big news for NVIDIA as well.
Nintendo's always known for being the weakling in terms of power, but now we're using good hardware.
It's not going to be as strong as
it'll still be the
PlayStation
weakling.
and Xbox. Yeah,
It'll
it's
still be the weakling, but I think there's going to be a lot more benefits that come from that.
It has nowhere. It's not going to beat the Xbox or PlayStation with power.
But it doesn't have to. Even if it did, it wouldn't matter. That
No, I'm
that
just
stigma
saying
that
that
they
we
have is
Didn't
never
beat
going to
the
change.
PS3 and Xbox 360 in power.
Well, yeah.
What'd you say? I missed it.
What?
I missed what you said.
Oh, I was saying the Wii didn't beat the Xbox 360 or PS3 in power. So and obviously there
It did
are
win that
other
console
points of right. Well, technically,
It was
if
like
you're
last
just
place.
talking about sales, the Wii outsold.
The Wii did astronomically better than all
Right.
the other consoles.
That's because they
now
sold
it's
to like
it tapered
mothers
off
and stuff and never got played again.
Right. But the fact is, they still moved so many consoles. And actually, that's something that I would like to bring up, is what they have learned from the Wii U with the launch. They're already showing that. But what they're going to have to prove is, did they learn anything from the Wii console cycle? So their struggle is an uphill one.
Did
They
you
have
see
to-
any family-oriented segments in that trailer?
I did not.
I think they learned.
Right. But here's the other thing. If they're going for that mass market appeal and still trying to keep a hold on like those core gamers, that's their uphill climb, because ultimately what's going to matter is if they're getting adequate ports. They don't have to be the best ports, because you look at the history of gaming, the best ports weren't always the best selling ones. Say like PlayStation 2 versus GameCube, and you had two of the same games. The better ports were on the GameCube, but it doesn't matter because more people had the PS2. So, I mean, if Nintendo is going to get those things, they just have to make sure that, they're getting adequate ports that people are going to prefer over ports on other consoles. And so the real question is, does Nintendo have the know-how and the capabilities and the experience to get past some of these hurdles that they had with the Wii? Say that, okay, one of my proposed solutions to this whole problem is, are there going to be incremental hardware upgrades? Are we going to get a yearly, bi-yearly iteration of the Switch that is more powerful, that can take old games and run them better or upscale them, or even allow new games into the mix that weren't there before?
The way the console's designed would certainly allow for that, because the only part that would need to be replaced is the screen.
Yep.
Because you could just keep the dock, you could keep the controllers, get the brand new Switch unit, and then boom, you have stronger hardware.
Right.
This could be future-proofing, for all we know.
I think they need to worry
I
about
mean, if
the initial
anybody
sales
needs it,
first.
it's Nintendo.
What's that, Jacob?
I think they need to worry about the initial sales first.
Yep.
And
before
that
they worry
brings
about
us
any
to
of that
video
stuff.
games.
Let's bring us to video games, shall we?
All right, so initial sales are going to be covered by Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
Maybe?
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm getting it right now.
And Pokemon.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
I think Sun and Moon's third version is going to be on Switch.
It's certainly possible.
Didn't Masuda just come out and say that they're still going to be making them for handhelds? Well, I mean, this is a handheld.
Right, but they said it's primarily a home console.
Yeah, but now this is replacing their handheld section.
They didn't say that.
But development is now unified.
Right, but it's been unified for how many years?
Whether you think it or not, 3DS and Wii U will be out the door in the next 2 years.
Yep.
Right. But do you think that there's a possibility that they could release a Now this is probably gonna sound really silly, and it probably is. And so like you guys might be right, and you may very well be right.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a chance that we could get a more handheld friendly?
Switch Mini.
Yeah, like a Switch Mini, like something like you could hook it. You could. It's like backwards. You're playing it on the go, but then you can sometimes hook it up to the TV.
Super
They
unlikely.
might just release a Switch that comes without the docking station.
Yeah, I could see that. I've considered that, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like
All they would have to do is put a different branding on it, and then you've already separated the two designs.
right. But that also depends on like how much benefit Nintendo would get out of having the two different things.
If they
the
could
Switch-
sell it at a lower cost, maybe.
right. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Are you basically asking, are we going to get the 2DS equivalent of the Switch?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's asking. And
Not
I
it's
don't
like-
think that's out of
years,
the question.
Not for years, if it ever happens.
I do think it will, though. If they're going to treat this like they do their handheld revisions, there's going to be a second model
Well,
of this.
I mean, we don't know how well this thing is going to sell yet, so
We don't. That's true.
yeah.
Wii U didn't last that long,
Nope.
so would we get 4 or 5 years out of this before they kick it out the door?
How long did the Wii U get?
4.5 years.
That's more than I remember.
Yep, came out in 2012. I think in November. Yeah, so it'll be about 4.5 years.
Ah,
Jeez.
Um,
But also,
games.
okay.
the
I was about to
games.
say the games. The Switch has a game that'll be launching that the Wii U did not have, and still doesn't have, but will still be getting, which is
Breath
the
of
first
Wild?
one shown in the freaking thing, Breath of the Wild.
And they already confirmed that Breath of the Wild for Switch and Wii U will be launching at the same time.
Hey, nice job doing that. That's a good idea.
I am still burned to this day for them not doing that for Twilight Princess.
They released the
I-
worst version first, and that's the version everyone has.
Except for me, because I bought it on GameCube.
Congratulations on having it on GameCube. I'm a little salty.
And then everyone who had it on Wii when they got Twilight Princess HD, they finally played the good version of that game.
Did they flip it?
They flipped it for Hero Mode,
Weird.
but the main mode was the GameCube original.
Yeah.
Okay, so Breath of the Wild, obviously it's going to be a big hit. Did it look any better to you guys on the Switch hardware?
Yeah.
Not
They have a
Okay.
further draw distance on grass. There's more particles. That's about it.
The color also seemed brighter to me.
It's also rendered video for a trailer.
It's also rendered video, so like we can only go by so much.
I would hope that this is the one running on the unit, though, and not Wii U.
Oh, they definitely would not be running this on the unit.
yeah. Here's the thing with
Logan, are you still talking?
Logan?
Oh yeah, I was like everybody cut out, and I was like, wait, did I just drop out? So I had to
No,
check
you
if
started
Discord was still
talking.
running.
Just
this
start your
like
thought
this in
over.
the podcast.
What happened? So with like all the graphical fidelity, I just going into it, I just told myself I wasn't even going to concern myself with it as long as the games looked like they ran fine. Like I wasn't even going to try to compare like the two different versions. Cuz I mean, the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild looks good enough to me, right? You optimize it a little bit more, make sure it's running smoothly. I'd play it and I wouldn't have, even cared either way. But I mean, again, it looked fine, just like all the other games that were shown.
Okay. I think
Well-
we're all in agreement there.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Jacob.
mean, it looked fine, and I loved all the games. Honestly, I don't know. I'm really excited. I really hope it's good. I may have got myself like too hyped for this console. It's just another console to me now, and I watched it. The game, like the Breath of the Wild, looks good, but if I already have a Wii U, why do I need to get the? If that's the only game I want, why do I need to switch over?
The Wii U version is probably going to run at 720p, 30 FPS, and I imagine the Switch version will run at 1080p at 60 FPS.
Maybe.
Sure, but for me, Nintendo's never been a good graphic thing, so I don't play Nintendo games for graphics. I play them for the game, so that's
Right,
never
but
really appealed
this
to me.
system is going to overtake Wii U. Don't expect any more Wii U games.
Well, yeah, it's true.
You can play Breath of the
So,
Wild on the go.
I will
that's
be getting
why.
the system. I feel like the biggest thing they did in this trailer was the games. Everything else I kind of expected, and I don't know. I wasn't as overwhelmed as I thought I would be.
Well, this
I
is
don't
just
think
a
they
preview
were
trailer.
trying to overwhelm any. Yeah, that's it. It's a preview trailer. They weren't trying to overwhelm anybody. It was literally just kind of a dip in the bucket. We're like, oh, what is the NX? Everybody's having aneurysms already. Like, I think somebody would have died if they showed anything else.
A dip in
This-
the bucket?
A dip in the bucket.
You mean a drip?
A-
You mean a
Dude,
drip
it's all
in
the
bucket?
same. No, I was
Dude, I'm
thinking
losing
more
it.
like you're tipping your toe in the water. You know.
No, I
like
see what
the-
he's
the
going for.
bucket.
Okay.
Hey, we should talk about those games. So I'm going to talk about the next game.
Yeah, you are.
We're going to talk about Mario Kart 8? Question mark?
Mario Kart 8 question mark.
Yeah, I think that's what
Working
we should call it. Mario Kart 8.
Okay, so I listened to Game Explain's discussion earlier, and I'm going to tell you exactly what they told me. So if you look in that gameplay trailer, or I guess I wouldn't call it a gameplay trailer, when you look at that sneak peek of the game, there was 2 item slots.
Mhm.
This was a feature of Mario Kart Double Dash. They showed King Boo, a character missing since Mario Kart Double Dash, and it was on Yoshi's Circuit, a track introduced in Mario Kart Double Dash, and the console is called Nintendo Switch, and you switch characters in Mario Kart Double Dash. So what they're thinking is that this is either an enhanced port with Mario Kart 8 with Double Dash-like features, or this is a sequel that focuses on Double Dash-like features. You might notice that there were single characters in those carts, but they also suggested the fact that you could switch between having 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say
So
that this is probably another Double Dash game with Mario Kart 8 stuff in it. And they just
Yeah.
haven't developed to the point where they can show off swapping characters.
Yeah, this sounds like pandering to its like best. Like this is the good kind of pandering you want to do with your fans.
A lot of the controversy over this teaser so far has been whether or not the games, if they were ports or if they were sequels. And at first I thought this was Mario Kart 8, but I am now more leaning to the side of sequel based on what we saw. And Mario Kart Double Dash, as you guys know, is my favorite Mario Kart game.
You have never
next
said
to Mario
that
Kart 8.
once.
What?
Yeah, of course. I'm joking.
So they took my 2 favorite Mario Kart games and they just kind of like glommed them together, and now I have a
Glommed.
Mario Kart game I really like.
Yeah, the one thing that holds me back from like Double Dash being like my favorite Mario Kart is the fact that the driving just it's aged. You play Mario Kart 8 and just the feel of the driving compared to Double Dash, it's night and day. Obviously, some of the ideas that they had in Double Dash were super fun, and I played that game growing up. I played through the entire thing one night, like 50cc through mirror mode, like all gold with one of my best friends, you know, when I was in freaking grade school. And so, you know, to have that experience with the, you know, improved driving mechanics, like that's just something oh my goodness gracious. I'll take it.
One more piece of evidence that I forgot to bring up that's further suggests this idea that it's Double Dash is the fact that you can use both Joy-Cons as 2 controllers on one unit.
Yeah.
Does that not scream Double Dash to you?
Well, I mean, that screams Mario Kart Wii to me, but yeah.
I think the whole concept just lends itself really well to the idea of Double Dash.
I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, me too. Jacob, I know you really like Double Dash. Did you have any thoughts?
No, you guys nailed it. I mean, Double Dash is my favorite one, so I'm really excited. Hopefully that is what it is. So
Does that make you feel better knowing that this might not be a port, but rather a new game?
a new game, yeah, would make me excited. And I think they need to get away and do a bunch of new games. I think it'd be awesome for all of those.
And they did give us that because they also showed us the brand new Super Mario game coming to Switch, which I have dubbed Super Mario Switch D4.
Ah, it's so good.
Yeah, Mario looks really exciting to me.
And a lot of people are like, this is just 3D World, and my first impression was just not that at all.
Well,
Why does everyone think that?
Well,
this looks exactly like 64
first
to
off,
me.
this is a third-person camera, so you're already wrong. Like, it's not 3D World in the least when it's not using a static cam that you're not controlling.
Also, the thing that tipped me off, which I haven't played through the entirety of 3D World, but I played enough. You even look at the character animations. Like when you're running in 3D World, like that's not how Mario runs, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, it is.
It is.
It is?
Totally is.
Yes, it is.
But okay.
They are probably
so now I just come
reusing
off like an
animations.
idiot. Okay, but I mean,
Mario
it
can
just
triple
looks
jump.
so much more lively.
Mario
Could he
can
not-
triple jump.
He couldn't triple jump in 3D World.
Nope.
Nope.
Mario
Okay.
can triple jump. And he can long jump.
This
So do you
is a
think-
3D Mario entry.
Yeah,
Okay.
But the mechanics and stuff, it doesn't really matter what the title is to me. I mean, you could put mechanics in any game you want.
Well, 3D World and 3D Mario are two very different gameplay designs. 3D World is a lot more boxed in, and you don't have as many athletic moves, whereas like 64 and Sunshine and Galaxy are more open world, and you have a lot more moves to use. There's more variety to it.
Yeah, I'm really
I
hoping
think-
for a sequel of Galaxy and stuff. So I'm hoping it's that. So
I'm
I
actually
would
hoping
want-
it's not a sequel to Galaxy.
Yeah,
well,
I was
I
gonna
meant like a
say-
game in that realm.
In that vein, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping a little bit closer to 64.
And that's exactly what it looks like to me. I totally get that impression.
Like a return to form, and like obviously improving upon that formula is exactly what I would love out of a 3D Mario game.
And the game, for one, looks gorgeous. The animations are super bouncy. Logan, you pointed out to me that Mario's hat was kind of like bouncing, really cartoon style.
Mhm.
It's so charming. I think this game is going to look really good. And to all the people who thinks it's a 3D World game, are you dumb?
Just-
I'm sorry.
Just like the shrug face, like, what are you doing?
Did you even watch?
Yeah, it's definitely not 3D World. After all we've talked about, it's not.
I think Miyamoto, I could be wrong about this, but I believe he was quoted saying that Mario's coming back with a brand new idea.
Yes, I
And
remember
that's exactly what we
this.
want. That's exactly what we want. It's going to be, if it's a 64 style game centered upon a brand new idea, that'll be perfect. The question I ask is whether it's going to be surrounded around the idea of switching. Is that element going to play into the game somehow? I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
I just don't want it to get too gimmicky.
That, like,
Because that tends to be like Nintendo's thing, is they find this one thing and then they just like gimmick the heck out of it, and it'll be especially like bad if they're like, oh hey, it involves switching. That's why we.
But this
that's
is how
why
they
we
did it
have
with all of
Nintendo
their
Switch.
games. Super Mario 64 was based around the idea of the Nintendo 64 controller and 3D movement in the first place. Sunshine was based around the idea of the L and R triggers being pressure sensitive. Super Mario Galaxy was based around the Wii Remote and the idea of gravity, so that one was a little looser in connection, I suppose. So I would only assume that the next game would somehow fall into the idea of the console itself. Obviously, that looks a little harder to discern here, based on the idea of the console in general. Like, how would playing it on the go make the experience any different, or how could we play with that? I don't know. One thing I want to point out to you guys, though, is that during the rooftop scene, she was still playing Mario, pulled out both controllers, gave one to her friend, and they were still playing the game.
I don't
Yeah,
think
and they were
it
standing
actually,
up while they were playing it. Why were they standing up while playing it? There was perfectly good chairs that they could have sat in and played with it. That was
Logan.
probably the thing that bothered me like the most in the entire trailer.
I'm trying to point out is that this game is co-op,
What I would
and
like
each
to
player
point
could
out
have
to
their
you,
own
Brandon,
screen.
is that they do not show her playing Mario while she's on the rooftop at all.
Right. I think that was intentional.
I think it's intentional because it's not co-op.
Actually, I think it's intentional because it is co-op.
That's where I disagree with you.
Oh,
Well, what if a second person with their Nintendo Switch came up and you both played the 3D Mario game and you both had your own screen?
That would be weird and kind of cool, maybe.
The reason they couldn't make Super Mario 64 two-player is because of the screen limitations, and now they've gotten around it completely.
By having you buy two consoles.
Well,
Yeah,
wouldn't
but we
two
all
people
have
have two
3DSs.
3DSs?
Depends on how much this thing is.
I'm just saying, just inherently the way the console's designed would allow for something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try and work that in. And it'd be kind of weird if they went from 4-player with 3D World back to 1-player again.
I don't know. I think it'd be a nice change of pace, but we'll see.
It depends on the way it's integrated. Super Mario Galaxy 2 and I guess the first one had really poopy 2-player. If you remember, the second person could just use a Wii remote and point at things.
That was great.
It was so tacked on. It was like, hey, last minute, if we had a second player, what would they do? And they're like, shoot Starbits.
They could hold boulders in place.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm hopeful that this will integrate multiplayer in a meaningful way. That's more or less what I want. Like, if it's not co-op, fine. But if it is co-op, if it's meaningful, that's what I'm looking for.
I would agree.
But yeah, it's a Mario game. People who like Mario are probably going to like it a whole lot.
I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. This is the highlight. In terms of games, this was the highlight for me. And as far as we know, this is the only really new game we're getting as of right now.
Right.
It was also a really good idea for them to show off the Nintendo Switch with a Mario game.
Yeah, it was. It's a really good idea.
Hopefully that makes it to launch.
It's one of the strongest IPs.
Could you imagine a console launching with both Zelda and Mario?
That would be very, very strong.
Maybe.
Like, holy crud.
Maybe they wouldn't want to do that. They would probably release it with Zelda and then release Mario later. You don't release two bangers at the same time.
They would probably push Mario back by a month.
Well, yeah, and then I guess everybody can get their, consoles in order. And
if you remember, Melee, I think, launched after the GameCube by 2 weeks, was it? It's a very short window of time.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a good strategy.
It's a good strategy. Also, be ready for this thing to run out of stock.
Oh, yeah, I'm pre-ordering as soon as I can. Wii U pre-orders ran out within hours after I pre-ordered mine on the day that they went live.
And then I walked into a store the week of and bought one.
Yeah, I'm probably going to pre-order in-store because I don't want to wait for shipping.
But you remember what happened with the new 3DS. And
yeah, I do.
That was a mess.
Or can we not forget about the Wii's launch?
Oh, yeah, that was a disaster.
I couldn't possibly forget
about it.
That
was
even
even worse.
I waited for 20 hours.
I waited
crap.
for 3 months.
Yeah, I waited months to actually get a Wii.
Yeah, I went to Walmart.
And even then, me and my brother split the cost.
Crazy times.
Yeah, those are some rough times.
I'm going to say that one was probably not intentional that time.
I don't think it was. So obviously they showed off Skyrim and they showed off 2K as a means to say, hey, we have third-party support. I'm not going to comment on that because that says nothing to me.
It says nothing yet, especially when Bethesda's not even sure if this game will run on the what's it called? The Switch. That's the word. I was almost calling it an X. I almost pulled a Logan.
They said that they're a partner though, and I don't think they've ever done that before.
Yeah, at this point they're probably we don't know if it'll run on the hardware yet, so we're not saying yes or no because they're coming out with a new updated HD Skyrim. And if they were...
I was pretty sure that's what we were looking at.
That's what we were looking at. And if they were to put it out, they would want it to run, so they're not confirming it until it's working.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that at least means they're trying.
Yeah.
And that's good to know.
That's a pretty safe start. I mean, it's a game that's been made before. There's that game launches in a week on the PS4 and Xbox One.
And PC.
Right, so it's going to be a game that's already made. I think if it did come to the Switch, that it'd be good that we only were getting it, a few months later when the console launches, hopefully. And then obviously for Bethesda, that would be kind of testing the waters. Okay, is this going to be worth the investment? How many sales are we going to get? And it's Skyrim, so I don't know. Maybe there's going to be people who are going to hold out on the PS4, Xbox One version so they can get the Switch version.
They're probably banking on the design concept of playing on the go because Skyrim, I think, is a game that would lend itself very well to just being able to play anywhere. because it's such a big time investment.
Yeah, if they could put that thing out on the hardware, they will, because it will automatically sell enough to make it worth the investment. It's more of, right now they're making an HD version for PS4 and Xbox One with their specialized AMD hardware, and the Switch runs on a specialized NVIDIA hardware, and that's a different beast to tackle, so they can't confirm it yet.
Right, and it makes sense. Hopefully, though, that means that they will make something in the future, and then we'll have that in mind already. I guess that makes Switch come with its own trouble in the fact that it has to run on NVIDIA. But I guess if they're making PC ports, then it wouldn't be too different. There's a lot of questions involved with that I have right now. Moving forward, Splatoon. Splatoon is a big topic of discussion for people right now. So they showed us Splatoon for a brief second, showed them doing local multiplayer, which is something I love. But they also showed new clothes, new weapons, and new hairstyles.
New hair. There's new hair. Okay, look.
And I think a new stage as well.
I remember that stage that they
new
showed.
or no?
I don't think that was a new stage.
I don't think it was either.
A big thing that everyone's been asking for since Splatoon came out was new hairstyles, and they have new hair. You can be Skrillex. I'm really excited. I'm really excited, guys. I liked Splatoon a whole lot, and
a lot of people are under the impression this is Splatoon 2.
This is probably going to be called Splatoon 2, even if it has mostly the same stuff in it, because it looks like they're pouring a lot of art assets into this one, because they already have the gameplay down. They have the controls down. They don't really have to worry about that. So it's mostly the artists doing things at this point, unless they're going to make a huge change.
Well, didn't they develop Splatoon in like 1 year?
Yeah, it was a crazy turnaround, and honestly, within scope-wise, it is not that big of a game. It's a shooter. That's it. It's an online shooter. The biggest problem is getting everything networked.
They can just pull most of the art, if not all of it. Though it did look a lot nicer.
I was about to say that it looks really good. They obviously have higher resolution textures, and there is anti-aliasing on this thing, and that looks so good. They have anti-aliasing now. Look at it. They have the power to do this now.
It feels good.
It feels good. I'm excited for Splatoon 2, Splatoon 1 Plus, whatever they want to call it when it comes out.
No, it's going to be Splatoon.
They already did that with their soundtrack, Splatoon.
No,
they
but
did?
This one's going to be the number 2.
Like that, like Splatoon, not like Splatoon.
While I feel like that's creative, unless it's a number 2 in the title, people are going to be so confused.
Even then, I think people would be confused. It'll probably be called Splatoon 2.
That would be the wise choice.
Splatoon.
Or Splatoon Collector's Edition Ultra HD Hair.
We're mostly under the impression that this is a sequel.
Hey, maybe they'll get the online correct this time and have multiple maps that you can swap through.
Yeah. It at least played well.
There are so many things that they can get right with this, and I'm really excited because there were a lot of complaints about Splatoon I had.
Even though the gameplay was not one of them?
The gameplay was definitely not one of them. It's everything surrounding the gameplay that was an issue. It was a very Nintendo game.
I imagine they'll address a lot of those. I'm usually under the impression that Nintendo's just not going to do a lot of things, but this is one of those games where I feel like they're going to make an effort to work on it.
They have.
I feel like they're getting smarter.
This is being developed by a younger team, too.
Is it?
Well, yeah. The original game was developed by a younger team.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought even younger, which was crazy to me.
Oh, no.
Okay, thank you.
This is the new generation of devs, and they obviously have a different mindset when developing games. Obviously, that's how I ended up with a shooter, I'm pretty sure. So I think we'll see a pretty big improvement with Splatoon 2. And do you think the game will make launch?
No.
Do you think it'll make launch window?
No. Well, actually, it'll make Nintendo's definition of a launch window, which is apparently a year and a half.
I think it'll make year one. If Splatoon, the original game, took less than a year to develop, I wouldn't be surprised if this took probably the same, if not less.
I think they started developing it a while ago, so I think it's going to make launch. I think it'll be a launch title.
When they
I'm gonna go as far as to say that.
when they announced that they were no longer doing updates for Splatoon, is the moment they were starting to work on this thing.
I imagine they started way before that because all they were doing was just a bunch of DLC. I can't imagine that it was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna use like everybody. They were in the planning stages for this game right after they knew Splatoon was a hit.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, they were actively developing, though. Don't get me wrong; they were testing and all these things. So most of the team probably couldn't have been working on it until they stopped working on it.
No, I definitely see what you're saying. No, I tend to agree with Logan here. I don't know if it'll make launch, but I don't think it'll be very long after launch.
Oh, I mean, like,
It would be
the skeleton of the game is there. They can work with that, but I'm not sure how quickly that game's going to come out, especially if they want to change anything.
well.
I'm not sure they
this
will
is
change much.
this would be a system seller based on how it did in Japan.
Yeah, it did pretty well in Japan, didn't it?
It's
Dude, the
it's
attach
a phenomenon
rate
in Japan.
was impressive for even the Wii U. Like I think Splatoon worldwide passed over 5 million copies.
Oh, what a good game!
Yeah, really good.
What a good game!
So if that's the way this is, then we have 4 new Nintendo titles coming to Nintendo Switch, which is a lot better than 2.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Which
than
is the
2.
And that's not to say that there aren't more. We don't know. I imagine within the next week or two, we'll have some more concrete news, maybe some more information on these games specifically. Like, I actually actively anticipate that we will be seeing some of Super Mario at the investor meeting, because that's where they announced and revealed Super Mario 3D Land.
No way. For real?
I think so. Yeah, that is. That's where 3D Land was announced. That's also where the 3DS was announced.
We'll see what happens in that investor meeting.
Yeah, hopefully we get the price. That'll be a big one.
Yeah, price would be nice.
Are you still anticipating $400? I gotta ask you.
Yes. After seeing it, yes. Maybe more.
Because of all the hardware?
Yeah, look at that thing. Just like take a look at it. That thing's gonna be pricey unless they're selling it at a big loss.
I feel like they would need to sell it at a loss.
I mean, they
at least
do.
initially.
And almost every console is sold at a loss.
They sold 3DS at a loss, too.
They sold 3DS at a loss. That's why they had so many issues with it.
Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully they find other ways to keep, costs down. Because the biggest concern on my part is like, okay, you got to get the consoles out there. You have to have this thing be a huge success if Nintendo's going to turn around their fortune. This cannot be another Wii U.
I don't think the dock station will cost very much, and I don't think the Joy-Con controllers will cost very much.
I would hope that they would come with the thing.
I'm pretty sure they do, because then you wouldn't have a controller.
Just saying.
We're not going to get the Pro in the box, guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely.
What about the adapter for the Joy-Con controllers?
Yes, that's coming in the box.
Is it actually?
I'm positive that's coming in the box.
I think it'd be kind of stupid if it didn't.
Then how, you would have to hold them independently by default, and I think that's just not a good decision to make.
I mean, that's a bad decision to make, but it seems like a smart decision if you look at the money.
But if you look at the concept art and the high-resolution images that they posted, the only things in those images are the tablet, the dock station, the grip, and the Joy-Con controllers. There's no Pro controller in there, so I think for sure this is everything you're getting in that box.
Hopefully they have the grip, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely not coming with the Pro controller. It'll come with obviously the Joy-Con controllers, which will go on the side of the tablet, and not having the grip for the to attach the 2 Joy-Con controllers together into one functional controller would I think it'd be a silly thing not to include that.
Yeah,
not including a charger.
That's
got to
be part of the initial investment.
Oh yeah, like including a charger with your new 3DS. I'm running into that issue right now.
Oh my goodness gracious!
before we wrap this up, I would like to say how glad I am that this is not a controller with a screen on it.
Do you mean like as one unit?
Like as that patent that they put out, the controller with a weird buttons and a screen.
Yeah, the oval thing.
I'm really glad it's not that, guys. That looks
Me too.
terrible. That would never work.
I actually think the design of this console is super sleek and very nice to look at.
Yeah, I was worried about what that would look like, and they definitely surprised me on that front.
They made a cool, weird thing today.
And hopefully other people think it's cool and weird too.
Yeah.
A lot of developers seem to think so, but we also heard that about the Wii U. So hold your breath, or don't hold your breath.
I definitely think this is a lot more promising than the Wii U.
I am actively excited about this in a way that I wasn't about Wii U, and that says a lot. For once, they're releasing a console with a controller.
Right. It's been a few console generations since that.
I feel like that in itself is going to attract a lot more people to this as a concept.
I think this will do well.
Me too.
Yeah, and they just need to bundle the heck out of it.
Jacob, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you have any final thoughts?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I think you guys nailed it. Sorry, I've never played Splatoon, so I couldn't jump in on that conversation.
Sorry, I got really excited about Splatoon.
No, you're all right.
If you definitely get it on Switch, because I think it's a game you would like a lot.
Yeah, I definitely will. I just don't have a chance right now. Until Switch comes out.
Switch. It's so weird to hear it. Switch.
I like it's kind of a firm sounding name. Strong.
Hey, remember how bad
like
the
it.
name Wii U was?
Oh yeah.
Switch is so good, guys.
And it has a really good logo.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say something about that. It totally channels the yin and yang symbols.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So I wonder if that was intentional, but that's immediately what I thought of when I saw it.
Are there any other final thoughts?
I like that they put the symbol and the name right on the dock.
With a nice matte finish.
Yeah.
With a nice matte finish. God bless it.
Away with glossy finishes, please.
Away with fingerprints, please.
Yes, my Wii U looks horrible. With that, I think we can wrap it up, guys.
Yeah.
Man, remember when this was called NX?
No.
I don't.
I've been waiting to have this talk for a long time.
Almost too long, some would say.
Yeah. But for those of you at home, you can expect us to talk about this a lot more as more news comes out. We'll be hearing about price, we'll be hearing about launch lineup, and we'll be hearing about other games coming, so please tune in. We're going to talk about it, and you're going to listen. I hope.
Or else.
Or else. With that, this has been Brandon Miracle and Jacob Robertson.
Hello.
Logan Welliver.
Yup.
And Josiah Gooden.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Please leave us a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you later. Clocking out.